Yeah, I mean, I think we talked about that in the timeout because I felt like we generated some good looks in the first quarter. I think in the first quarter we were 1 for 13. I think they were 3 for 13. And I told them, like, listen, if we can get stops, we can get out in transition. If we can get out in transition, maybe we can find a little bit of rhythm, get something at the basket, maybe something a little bit easier. And I thought we just kind of stayed with it. We just stayed with it. And I didn't think that we got frustrated or down and just kept playing. And I thought the defense in the first half, the communication, we did have some breakdown. It wasn't perfect, but I thought the physicality was much better, and I thought our on-ball presence was better. And then I thought the communication and some of the guard-to-guard actions was improved. It still has some ways to go, but it was improved.
You executed your goal of shortening guys consecutive minutes and also didn't really play the starters. And Donovan bench in the second quarter really kind of pulled you guys out of that funk.
I thought to your point, I thought when Jalen Smith came in, that really helped us. Kobe and I out there, when they kind of came back in, helped us. The unfortunate part was we got on that third quarter, and then we started fouling too much. I think they took 19 free throws in the third quarter, and that just broke momentum. It broke the pace. We couldn't get out in transition. We were playing in the half court. And then I thought we did a better job in the fourth of at least not getting into the penalty so early. Yeah, I mean, I think you look at a couple things in terms of what they're strong at. They've been very, very good in transition. They've been up there with us in pace. They score a lot of transition points. They did a really good job, I thought, in the first half, right? The other part is, to be honest with you, the reason, in my opinion, watching them on film of why, their record is what it is because at times the turnovers have gotten high, like us, and then they've had some games where they just haven't shot the ball particularly well from three. But I think they're playing with really good pace. They're playing really unselfishly. They're running really good stuff. So I think you look at, okay, what are the things that we're supposed to be doing? Like, how do we get back in transition against one of the better teams pace-wise in transition? Coming out of that Memphis game where we got, really, really hurt in transition. Do we make any steps there? What about the coverages in terms of the communication and the talk? And so much of the talk is not necessarily with our bigs as much as with our guards. We were better there. We've had some breakdowns. They did miss some shots. But, again, I think you have to play who's in front of you, and you look at, say, okay, do we play and do the things that we've been talking about doing? And I think, we weren't perfect, but I felt like there was growth. But no question to me, even, against this team who, as, listen, they've taken teams down to the wire. I mean, we faced a Utah team at home that was kind of in the same situation. I don't think they won a game or they had one win, and they came in and physically dominated. I said that after the game. So, you got to show up and play, and you got to do your job. But I do think for me, coming out of this game, it's not like, oh, wow, everything's fixed. My thing is, can we come back and do it tomorrow night against a team that's bigger, stronger, and more athletic?
To that point about playing the identity, I mean, you had that really slow start offensively. You finished with 29 assists, 50% shooting, 7 doubles. How did you see that kind of transform throughout the game? How did that happen?
I think you made a really good point about that second unit. We started to play really, really fast, and I think the game got going up and down the floor because we got stops. There was no flow to the game for us offensively in the third quarter because they just kept driving the ball and we kept fouling them. But I thought that second quarter was really, really good for us. But, we didn't start off shooting a lot of threes. I thought we missed some opportunities. I thought we got a little stagnant. We held onto the ball a little bit. We weren't real crisp and sharp early. But then we started generating some shots. We missed a bunch of corner threes. We missed a couple above-the-break threes. But I liked the shots that we got. And it was just the message was just keep staying to our identity, how we got to play. Well, but we got to keep guarding. We got to keep communicating. We got to keep getting back in transition. So, it was good to see them stick with it, even though we didn't shoot the ball, start off shooting it well.
What did you think of Iowa working with the starters again?
I think that, I'm trying to look at his offense some, and he's at the point, and I put a lot on him in terms of the pace setting for us because he's so fast coming down the floor. And I think guys are running with him, and he a lot of times is pushing it, and he's spraying it up ahead, and he's getting up ahead, or he's getting into the teeth of the defense, and he's flattening the defense out. But there's probably been a sacrifice a little bit there with his scoring, maybe, where he's maybe hasn't had as many opportunities. When he's out there with Josh, he's out there with Kobe, he's out there with Zach, he's out there with Vooch. We really have tried to, from a role standpoint with that group, just establish it. So I think he's doing a phenomenal job there. But, you look at maybe his shooting numbers and they weren't what they were a year ago. But I also think we're playing totally different than we were a year ago. And I do think he's doing a better job of reading defenses and making decisions. I think he's played very, very well. He just hasn't maybe shot the ball, but I don't really worry about that because I think he's taking the right ones, and eventually, if he keeps taking the right ones, he'll shoot better.
Billy, what is being a player that has you
On what side of the ball? Yeah, I think I mentioned, they asked me about Wes, and Wes has been phenomenal. Dan's been great, as well. I think, in my opinion, I've never worked with Dan, but I think his greatest strength is he's like a guy that can kind of like do a multitude of things. Like, he helps out offensively. He's helping out defensively. He's helping out with player development. He's helping out with, hey, do we do shoot-arounds here or there? Just presenting me with questions to make me think about, right? But he's really kind of been the guy that's really been like a hybrid where he's done a little bit of everything. He hasn't been like all defense. Wes has been more predominantly focused on that. But Dan has, worked with me offensively. He's crossed over and helped Wes and John Bryant some defensively. Like I said, he's crossed over and helped player development. I think he's good showing players films. He's a guy that can kind of do everything. He's really a guy that can do everything. I wouldn't classify him as an offensive coach or a defensive coach or a player development guy. I think he's just a basketball coach. And I think the same thing can be said for Wes. Those guys are basketball coaches.
What made you want to target him to bring to your staff with you being a
I've always felt like the best hires I've ever made have always been hires where guys have worked with somebody that I've worked with or somebody that I'm really close to. I've got a really, really close relationship with Lawrence Frank. Lawrence, being at the Clippers, he knows the way I am. We've been around each other for a long time. Jeff Van Gundy knows that he's there now. He knows Dan real well. I got a good relationship with Spo. I spoke to him down at Miami because he was there for so long. So there's just some people that I know well that I have a great deal of respect for. And then they know me, and then you look at, okay, is this a fit, right? And that's kind of what I did, more so than anything else. And I didn't have any relationship with Dan and didn't know Dan other than to say hello to him, but didn't have any relationship with him.
What did you think of Marcos Gonzalez today, and how do you see his prospects?
Yeah, I think Modest, I like his aggressiveness, and he's staying aggressive. I think that the communication piece on defense needs to keep getting better, but he stays aggressive. He's taking his shots when they're there, which I love. Like, he's not hesitating, and we need him to take those shots. I thought he had some good drives to the basket. The biggest thing I think for him right now in his growth is, when he gets caught on a Kyle Kuzma, a really good offensive player, he'll get better as he starts to play guys a second and third time. But I think the biggest part for him defensively is how well can he communicate.
Thanks, Billy.
Yep, thank you. Yep.